What's up, guys? My name's Video Gamer, and welcome to What Is, a series where we ponder the question, what is? And today, I'm out here in the Breath of the Wild looking for a new game to play. Guys, look! Look, guys! I wonder what could be inside of this.
In my Mario Odyssey video, I said that gaming had come full circle with the release of Breath of the Wild. I feel with these two releases that Nintendo has just thrown a huge party for their two biggest franchises. The Legend of Zelda was always about exploration, finding something new and not following a path, going anywhere you want and discovering the world you're put in. You might already know this fact, as a lot of people have brought it up, but Miyamoto based the original Zelda off his own exploration that he would have at his childhood home. Breath of the Wild takes the feeling of exploration from the first game and brings it into the modern age. You basically do everything that you would do in the original Zelda game, like fight enemies, find secrets, and go dungeon crawling. It's just done in a huge open world where you get to decide how the story unfolds. This leads us to the team behind the game with Eiji Onuma. You know what? I'm just gonna call him Big E. As a producer behind this project, you may be familiar with some of his work as he's the producer from Twilight Princess, Link Between Worlds, and Skyward Sword. But now for the director of this project, who is no other than Hyrule.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Screw it. Hyrule has directed A Link to the Past and Minish Cap. These two would start development on Breath of the Wild right after the release of Skyward Sword for the Wii in 2011. The Big E said he wanted the team to rethink the conventions of Zelda, and this started with the puzzles. The dev team started by making a 2D prototype like the original Zelda game and focused on working with physics-based puzzles. This would be a huge part of Breath of the Wild, as the Big E would say, the physics engine pins everything to the world, allowing things to operate in a realistic way, and this allows puzzles to be solved in multiple ways. The Big E heard what a lot of players were saying in regards to an open world Zelda game, so he wanted to incorporate it into this game. This would be the first ever open world game Nintendo would work on, so they had to reference games like Skyrim to better understand the challenges that they would have to face while building an open world Zelda game. This all led up to the release of Breath of the Wild on March 3rd, 2017. The game's initial retail price was $59.99 and would be, to this day, the most bought Zelda game in the franchise with 136 million copies sold. Yes, I said million. With this kind of success, of course Nintendo would want to capitalize on it and order a sequel that was announced in June 11th of 2019 and set to release sometime in 2023. I attribute a lot of Breath of the Wild's success to the art design. This art design perfectly blends the two main art designs from the Zelda franchise, from the more realistic looking Twilight Princess with the nice cel shade from Wind Waker. I think this design is the best look for the franchise. Link with this new art style looks good as well. He shares some similarities to the look of the Skyward Sword Link, but something I found interesting while researching for this video is that the Big E said he wanted Link to have gender-neutral features so anyone who played Breath of the Wild could immerse themselves as Link. I just found this interesting and wanted to mention it here. The world design is just spectacular. This world kind of reminds me of a D&D world. This massive land has multiple biomes, from snow to deserts and swamps, mountains, valleys, and a freaking volcano. This world is just a blast to explore with some memorable characters. The game does a really good job of having a character in a village that makes him go, ah, that's this village. This really works well with the gameplay loop that the game has going on for it. Accompanying this magical world is an amazing soundtrack made by Haji Miyawaki with the provided help by Manaka Kotoka and Wasaki Iwata. I personally love the music in Breath of the Wild, with the soft piano sounds on the title screen to the creeping sounds of the battle music. I find the soundtrack to be a nice addition to anything you're doing in the game. Breath of the Wild's gameplay is centered around exploration. In order to get stronger, explore. You need some story? Explore. Need to get some arrows? Go out and find some treasure and then sell them for rubies. And also, explore! The main thing you'll be exploring for is these shrines. Shrines hold all manners of challenges for the player, but the most common one is the puzzle shrines. These shrines have Link do some type of puzzle, mostly physics-based, in order to continue through this treacherous tomb. These puzzles can be solved a number of ways, especially with the Sheikah Slate. Each one of these abilities has its own use while solving puzzles. Magnesis basically turns you into a Magneto and allows you to move around metallic objects. Prognosis will make ice pillars and water sources in order for you to lift doorways or traverse across water. While Stasis, on the other hand, freezes time on certain objects, and if the player hits these objects while it's frozen, it will store kinetic energy, launching it once it becomes unfrozen. The round and square bombs are kind of self-explanatory. You can set the bomb down and then detonate it to destroy these cracked rocks. But there are some differences in between the two bombs. The round bombs are easier to throw and will go farther than the square bombs. While the square bombs are good for being set down, since it's a square. It's just kind of its thing. It's not gonna move. It's not gonna roll. It's a square. I've gone way too off script here. Really describing, the shape of a square. It's not really a square. It's more like a cube, but I mean, does that really matter? I mean, technically it's not a cube either. It's just a bunch of ones and zeros, so I'm moving on to the next topic. After solving each shrine's puzzle, you make it to the Sheikah statue. Mummy? Spirit? I don't know really what they are. I do know what they give you. They will give you spirit orbs, and once you have 4 of them, you can take them to a goddess statue and trade them in like if you were at a Chuck E. Cheese. But only if the reward was actually worth it. These spirit orbs will either give you a heart container, which will expand the maximum number of hearts, just like in other Zelda games, or you can get a stamina container, which will increase your maximum stamina. You get to choose which one you want, of course. Shrines aren't the only thing to be looking out for, though. Throughout your travels, there will be all kinds of people who need your help in the form of side quests. There are a lot of different kinds of side quests, and some will use your last Sheikah ability, the camera. There will be some people who need a picture of something, and it will be your job to go out and find it in the world and then snap a quick pic of it. While other side quests are a little more interactive. Unlike the Divine Beast bosses, there are overworld bosses that will be sometimes connected with a side quest, and of course it will be your job to take it down. For less life-threatening quests, some people want ingredients that can be found out in the world, so it will be up to you to go fetch questing. You can use some of these ingredients in a cooking pot. Now in Breath of the Wild, there's a large array of recipes, and depending on what you put in your pot, you might get a special status effect that will help you survive the wild. The last side quest I'll talk about is the minigames. The one that I did is carry the ice cube through the desert before it melts. But I'm sure there's more that I didn't find. This is a huge game, guys. It's hard to find everything. In order to traverse around this huge world, you'll have to take advantage of multiple ways of travel. The most convenient one is the fast travel mechanic. After activating a tower or shrine, you can fast travel back to those places in order to move around the world. Well, that's boring and lame, and I want to talk about the fun ways of traveling. The best one is taming and riding horses. There are these stables around the world, and sometimes there are horses nearby that can be tamed by mounting and then soothing them. You can then take that horse to one of the stables and register it. These horses can move pretty quickly around the world and can even deal damage to enemies. Another fun way of traveling around the world is via the shield on your back. In Breath of the Wild, you can shield surf around the world. While fun, it is really hard to pull off in certain terrain. The best place to surf is in the desert. Now, the last way of travel isn't horizontal travel, but yet vertical travel. And it sucks. I'm sorry. Climbing in this game is such a bore to me. It's slow, it can be hard to climb certain mountains, and it's just my least form of travel. I just don't like it. While traveling around the world, you can find some collectibles. Starting off with the most common collectible, the Korok seeds. Korok seeds are like the moons from Mario Odyssey, and what I mean by that is they're literally everywhere. Pick up a rock, seed. Pop some balloons, seed. Complete a stone ritual to summon the underworld, seed. You can then take these seeds to a bigger Korok named Hestu. He will upgrade your inventory by shaking his magical maracas. But every time you upgrade a slot, it will take even more seeds to upgrade it after that. This collectible is more rare. There are only 13 of them in the game, not counting the Divine Beast ones. Memories are a story collectible. When you get your Sheikah camera upgrade, you will see there are 12 pictures already in the album. If you find these locations, you can activate a memory. Once you collect all 12 memories, a 13th one will appear. Once you find that one, you can unlock an alternate ending in the game. Moving into the final topic on the gameplay that I will cover is the combat. Just like everything else in the game, it has a lot of elements to it. The common way of killing your foes is with a simple sword and shield by just attacking. But again, that's boring! Let's talk about more interesting ways to kill fictional things. Starting with the Flurry Rush. Flurry Rushes are where you perform a perfect dodge. It will slow down time, allowing you to hit an opponent multiple times. You can also disarm an opponent with the Shield Bash. Just like the Flurry Rush, you'll have to Shield Bash at the perfect moment in order to disarm. But if up close and personal isn't your thing, then bows will be something you find very useful. There are 5 different kinds of arrows in the game. A normal arrow, an ice arrow, a fire arrow, a shock arrow, and finally, bomb arrows. But now, let's dive into the story of the Divine Beasts. Just like everything else in Breath of the Wild, it is up to you to uncover the story of what happened to Hyrule 100 years ago. You could, in theory, not see any part of the main story and still beat the game. Now, this isn't completely true, as you get some mandatory story after completing the tutorial. But after that, the story is at your helm. So with that being said, I'm only going to cover the basic plot and nothing further, to keep from having spoilers, of course. So, 100 years ago, Calamity Ganon attacked and took over the 4 defensive machines known as Divine Beasts. After doing this, Zelda trapped him in Hyrule Castle to keep him from destroying Hyrule. Link is fatally wounded in this fight, so he's taken to the Shrine and resurrected and put into a deep sleep for 100 years. After waking up with all of his memories gone, it is up to you, the player, to take back these 4 beasts and defeat Ganon, saving the princess and Hyrule from destruction. These 4 Divine Beasts act as this campaign's main dungeons. Overall, they work very similar to the shrines that you will explore. The difference is these beasts are designed after animals. This adds a new spin on solving the puzzles, as you can use their body parts to help complete puzzles. Like with an elephant, you can move his trunk that is spewing water up and down to make wheels move. Solving these puzzles will unlock terminals. After activating 5 terminals, you will regain control of that Divine Beast. There will be a boss in every Divine Beast, but I will let you discover what they are. Again, no spoilers. Although after killing the boss, you will get a special power from that Divine Beast that will help you in the world with other challenges you might have to face. So now that I've covered as much of the game as I can, I would like to share some of my experiences I had while playing Breath of the Wild, and even the reason I wanted to make this video in the first place. So, let's jump into them. First off are these 2 shrines on top of Dual Peak Mountain. These 2 shrines are connected. When you go into one, it will give you the code for the other shrine and vice versa. So you'll have to take the code from Shrine 1 and put it into Shrine 2, and then take Shrine 2's code and put it into Shrine 1. It's really creative and an interesting puzzle that I found quite enjoyable. Earlier in the video, I talked about the soft piano sounds from the title screen. Well, I have more to say about this. From the art to the music, I always loved booting up this game and just vibing on the title screen before getting back into my grand adventure. Speaking of my grand adventure, what kind of adventure would it be if I didn't rob the first person I met? I stole this guy's apple! But it was for a good cause, I swear! I had to fight this huge rock boss thing. While speaking on bosses, I felt the overworld bosses felt more like Zelda bosses than the bosses in the Divine Beasts. The Divine Beast bosses could have been just slightly harder, but they're not bad. I just would have liked a little bit more of a challenge while fighting them. So after all that fighting, I needed to go wash myself off, so I went to go jump off this bridge into the river. And this guy basically tells me not to give up on life. Hey man, I'm just trying to swim, but good looking out. The funny thing about this is he gives 0 craps if you actually jump off, so thanks dude. Other than my antics around the world, I wanted to find out more about what happened in Hyrule. I really just wanted to compliment the way Breath of the Wild tells its story. either finding memories or talking to NPCs, you're always finding out new things about this world, without stupid cutscenes getting in the way, which makes me feel more involved with the story. But all of this doesn't excuse the dang frame drops that happen to me more than I would like, and I don't think it has anything to do with the game. I played this game 3 times and only ran into this problem on my 3rd playthrough, but I had the same problem with Mario Odyssey. Nintendo, get some hardware, please! It's annoying to see this beautiful game get bogged down with these stupid frame drops, and I can't even show you guys due to the recording at a different frame rate, so I can't even show you guys how the frame rates drop, but trust me, it happened more than I wanted it to. But anyway, back to the game. I found this ice block, and after shooting it with some fire arrows, it melted into a shrine. This was my first time seeing something like this in the game, so I was pretty excited when it rewarded me for being skeptical. Shady frickin' ice block. Now in my notes it says I hate the desert. I think that's a bit dramatic though. I don't hate the desert, but it's my least favorite area of the game. There's a lot of steep cliffs, which if you weren't listening earlier, I hate climbing in this game, so that's a big reason, but there's some other reasons. It's kind of bland, where in other places of the map, I could run up a hill and find something interesting, or run through a forest to see something new. With the desert, I can just see everything before I get there, and it kind of makes it less mysterious, if that makes sense. But all that's forgiven, because I'm in the game. Look, here I am. I'm running the dye shop. Can't you guys see the resemblance? Alright. All jokes aside, the real reason I wanted to make this video, hell, the reason I wanted to make this whole series is because one moment. So, small spoilers for Breath of the Wild, and skip to here if you don't want to hear it. When I finally beat Breath of the Wild, I did it alongside my brothers. We would hang out in the living room going on this great adventure through Hyrule, and we had a lot of fun. But one memory that sticks out anytime I think of this game is pulling the Master Sword from the stone in Korok Forest. My brothers and I just watched as each heart ticked down, waiting to see if it would be set free, and with 1/4 of a heart left, it heaved free, and we all freaked out as we had just claimed the Master Sword. This is why I wanted to make what is. The truth is when you play a game, it's an experience. Whether you're experiencing a game alone or with friends, whether if the game is good or bad, at the end of the day, it's still an experience that you may or may not remember. So should you buy Breath of the Wild? Well, it kind of depends on how much you like open world games. I personally don't enjoy open world games, but Breath of the Wild is a bit more digestible for me, so it might be for you as well. This is a very long game, though it's a perfect game to pick up and play for a few hours to just get lost in a beautiful world and just explore. If you're a Zelda fan, you probably already played this game, but if not, then I think you'll get a lot of good moments out of the game that you might really enjoy. For $59.99, this game is worth the full price tag. It's so big that if you were only to play the main quest and nothing else, which is kind of unrealistic, you will still be getting your full money's worth. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of What Is. I really enjoyed making it. This has been a blast to just replay Breath of the Wild, re-experience all the good memories that I had playing it the first time, and it's just a really good game. As always, comment down below what is your favorite game or what I should do next for What Is as a series and whatnot, and I will catch you guys in the next one. You guys can't see it, but I'm waving y'all goodbye. Well, what can be in here? Dear IG, here's your very own and totally real Sheikah Slate from a friend. This isn't even a Sheikah Slate. It doesn't even turn on. What a scam.